Every day is like a disaster when you experience homelessness.
Because if you're living on the street and you are living out of a car, you're already hopeless and you're in a disaster, a personal disaster.
When it kind of hit us that we were homeless, and especially during such a trying time as the pandemic, with everything so scary, you don't know what's happening next.
I mean, with folks living on the streets and unhoused, there's no place where information can get to them consistently, and there's no consistent tools for them to access that information.
Being in a small rural area, there's a lot less resources. It's really difficult when you're in a small county, because the county normally doesn't have the funding for the resources.
Sadly, I do not know of any disaster readiness resources for the population that we serve.
When we talk about disaster preparedness, we usually talk about resources that we have, 3 days worth of water, all your identification documents, right? Have a little bit of extra cash.
Hand sanitizers, flashlights, things that would help just in case there is a disaster.
But the living situation and day-to-day struggle for folks just doesn't really allow for that.
When you're trying to figure out where your next meal is going to come from, when you're trying to figure out where you're going to sleep that night, honestly, the rest of it is just like a faded memory.
If I had a list of resources that helped me get through this disaster, I think that'd be wonderful for the people who's like me, people who are homeless.
This is an education piece that really is directed to people experiencing homelessness, meets people where they're at, and provides information that they need, whether it's information about dealing with floods, wildfires, earthquakes, or COVID-19.
Having something listed out like that with all the resources readily available, that would be extremely helpful for anybody homeless.
Having a list of resources would be great, especially in my current state of homelessness.
During my time working here, I've not seen a similar effort, like an organized, coordinated effort to try to get unhoused folks connected to these emergency response services.
What people will learn if they get this guide is there's so many tips. Everything from when to leave an area, who can you trust, what information source can you trust. Like all of the Listos California information, it's at listoscalifornia.org, and everybody and anyone can download this material and print it for your community.
When I look at the guide, is that it's a reminder for community partners like us on what we need to do to prepare our communities for disaster.
We serve meals 3 times a day here, so it would be great to be able to go down the meal line and hand this information to people, so they can have it and it be readily available.
It begs a question for me as a provider. When we know that there is a warning sign that something is going to happen, what is our part in making sure people know about that?
Whether you're a mayor, a county board of supervisor, any elected official, and as you think about your community and getting them ready, also think about people who have experienced homelessness.
There are things that we can't prepare for, and then there will be disasters that will just happen, and then we will have to respond to it in the aftermath. But for the things that we can prepare for, how do we prepare for it?